Hey everybody, so let me give you a quick walkthrough of session 1 of web design. Going into the content area. Session 1, I see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Starting with the welcome page. And I'm going to add a checklist, a 6th page, after I'm done making the video. Alright, so be sure you check out the course plan regularly to see what we're doing when. I am currently during this session sort of revising it, so when session 2 hits, you'll see something a little bit different from what's presented in the current course plan. And as soon as I've made the final decision about how it's going to change, I will certainly let you know, and I'll note that change in the bottom of the course plan. I just think there's a better way to arrange things and give you a little more time to practice these web design principles. I just don't think that the previous design had you doing that enough. So that is something I'm tweaking right now, but session 1 that we're in right now will not change. Alright, so in this particular session you're going to be doing raw coding in HTML. You're going to be using a plain text editor, a program like Notepad on the PC or TextEdit on the Mac. Somewhere else I think I note that it would be okay if you used Notepad++ on the PC and Text Wrangler on the Mac. I use both of those programs on my PC and Mac, and I love them. And the benefit of those is that they sort of color code your code so that you can see it more easily. But that may be getting a little too far ahead of myself. So you're going to be doing plain text editing using a plain text editor. You're going to be authoring web pages that way. Because the cool thing is, and I'm sure some of you know this, opening Notepad, is that you can actually author inside of this, and then if you save this Notepad as an HTML file, then it creates a new file that you can then double click and open in a web browser. So many of you probably are aware of that, but that's the basic idea. I'm going to quickly show you what that looks like. Okay, so I went in and I grabbed a little bit of basic code that you'll encounter later in the module. I copied and pasted these basic tags, opening and closing HTML tags, header tags, a title tag, and body. And I have inputted them in here. I pasted them into this notepad. I'm titling my web page using the title tags, Most Neato Web Page E'er Seen, you guys. And then in the body of my page, there will be this text, a little starter to a story. So just quickly showing you how this works, but you're going to go more in depth with this, and you're going to be authoring things in a tool like Notepad during this session. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'll put it on the desktop, and I'll call it elf.htm. Okay, I'm going to close it now. Let me go find it over here. So once I save it as elf.htm, it turns it into an actual HTML document, which can be double-clicked and opened like this. And here you see my very basic web page. I haven't done anything fancy to it except I've typed in within the body tags. And so anything that's typed within those body tags appears on the body of the page. And I did put in this title, Most Neato Web Page E'er Seen, you guys, between title tags. So that's what we're going to be working with, is very basic principles in HTML. And the cool thing is, as you may know, you can always right click and you can edit with, you can open it back up with Notepad and continue editing that way as well. Alright, so it's important that we learn these basics of HTML, and I know a lot of you have probably learned them before. I've learned them before as well, but they're still very relevant. So much of what we author in multimedia authoring, online, in apps, uses HTML code. And in order to work with it effectively, you have to understand how it works. So that's part of the purpose and design of this first module. Alright, so let me go back to the home page, the welcome page. One more thing I want to say. There's a number of tags we'll be using. I've attempted to list a lot of them here and also kind of give you an idea of the types of things we'll be playing with. Alright, so moving on. I do have a brief discussion that I added to this session. It's discussion session 1, aiming towards examples. You can go in there and see what the prompt is asking. Basically, I want you to locate an example of a website, kind of like the one maybe you'd like to make for this class. So I want to see if you can find one that's similar to what you want to do, both in terms of maybe skill level, like, yeah, I could achieve that, and it would still give me appropriate challenge, you know, and potentially content wise, the types of functions that this website serves, like maybe it's a teacher website. And then in terms, potentially you could pick it because you like its design and maybe you want to aim towards a specific design. So see if you can go find a website that could potentially serve as a sort of an exemplar for what you think would be a beneficial project for you to work on. Because later in the semester, about the last 4 weeks, you have about 4 weeks to actually build your own website, and so you want to start thinking about it now. That's where you're headed. And you do make one initial post and one follow-up. Sorry, I was about to sneeze. So we have 3 HTML coding assignments, but 2 of them are actually assigned and required. The first one is this getting started with HTML coding. I suggest you go in the order presented. I introduce what you're doing in this particular task. We look at how the web works, how servers work, how browsers work. We talk about the structure of web pages. This is a fantastic typed out with visuals overview of the basics of the structure of web pages. And then the Duckett textbook, I always like to hold it up and show it to you because I just love touching this book. It has such a nice cover. Hopefully we'll also note that it has nice insides as well. This textbook is really fantastic, and you'll be dipping into chapters 1 and 2 for this first assignment. And then you'll notice in some later assignments that some chapters are repeated. That's because the chapters might have more than one concept presented, and you might want to go revisit it. So, and even though I give you specific pages to read, I really urge you to read everything. Like when you see chapter 1's up there, you should probably just read all of chapter 1. If you see chapter 2's up there, I don't know if that's the full chapter 2 there, you might just read the whole thing. At least look at what it can offer you, because you might want to come back and use those concepts later. It's a really handy reference. It can be read from, the beginning of a chapter to the end of a chapter, but it's also super handy just to go find single concepts. Another thing that's really handy for single concepts is W3 Schools. You can look up, for example, tags. I'm not seeing the tags. Anyway, you can check it out. Like if you want to know about the paragraph tag, I'll just Google it. It's easier for me to find it that way. W3. So here on the W3 schools, okay, now I'm in okay, here we go. They have a tags section. This will tell you all about the paragraph tag in great detail. And you can also try out using it. You can do the try it yourself exercise. So that's another fantastic resource for you to use. All right, so we've got our instructions, and basically in this first web page you're going to not only author a page that includes these tags, but you're also going to want to make use of these. And what I've recommended is that you write a personal biography. You may be able to use this biography on your later website. It may be appropriate, so hopefully that content can go towards that. And just kind of follow through the steps. There's lots of information here, including this very important one about how you should always make a folder first when you're making a website. It never hurts to just start with a folder. I didn't do that in my example. When I whipped open that notepad, I should have made a folder first, honestly, and then inside of that I should have saved that notepad, because then later, as I continue building that weird little web page about the elf, I might want to add a picture, and that should go into that folder. So this video is all about that kind of thing, so that when you submit your web page and I open it, things work. They're linked properly, that kind of thing. So make sure you check that out. Um, I'm You're going to want to submit your project to the Dropbox in a zipped folder. That's for the first web authoring assignment. You have a second one that's sort of much the same. It has much the same rhythm. You're going to be authoring again using some of the same tags, and then you're going to, in addition, um, show your use of lists, an image, an absolute link, and a table. You've got more Ducket readings. Some chapters you're revisiting because they have additional information that we need for this particular set of skills. Read these project instructions. I've also given you some content you can use. This is a draft of my syllabus for this course. It does have some ordered lists. It may have unordered lists. Um, it has list items. It has at least one table. So if you find this content useful and you don't want to create your own, great. If you have your own document that you could go grab and use that content, it doesn't really matter what the content is. It's not going to be published online. It's going to come into the private Dropbox, and I'm not going to publish it online anywhere. I'm not going to share it with other people in the class either. So, yeah, if you could just find something you've already authored, or if you want to forge ahead, if you're thinking about your final website, you could also author something that you think could potentially become a page for that site. So, however you want to do that. So, again, read these instructions and then submit your website or web page, excuse me, in a zipped folder in that Dropbox. We have a third HTML coding assignment. If you want to get even more nuanced with things like alignment, this is a third assignment. It is optional. I would do it if I have time. I had one student one time who was giving herself tachycardia trying to get this assignment in. And I said, well, why are you, if you don't have time to do it, why are you doing this? Why are you staying up till 3 a.m. doing this assignment? Because I don't think it's worth it. If that's where you're at, you probably don't need to do this one yet. And if you're really dying to do this one, but maybe you don't have time this session, I'll let you turn it in later. So if you're interested in pushing more with the HTML coding, come back to it. In addition, I went ahead and I assembled some other there's so many fantastic resources online for coding. So for learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, um, I would have to read the terms of use on each of those to figure out if I'm allowed to actually like make you use those things. But there are some great resources. So I'm going to provide this in the course as well, probably as an additional page of just if you want to go deeper, if you want to see the content in a different way, if you want to have fun, play games, draw pictures, that kind of thing. There's a variety of things in here that are really awesome. So I'm going to share those with you as well. And then at the conclusion of this session, we're kind of done with raw HTML coding. You're not going to have another raw HTML coding assignment. We'll move next to working with Dreamweaver. I suggest you don't buy Dreamweaver. You don't buy it just yet. In fact, I think you can get it for 2 weeks for free if you've never done that before. And so you'd want to use up your free time first, and then we'll see if you still need it after that. Okay? So I would wait until the very instant you actually need it before I bought it. All right, guys, that's it for session one. Let me know if you have any questions. My main focus during the first week of session one will be to go into last week's discussion where you introduced yourself and take notes on who all of you are. It takes a bit of time, but it's so worth it because then I end up having this list and I can remember who you are and I can remember those things that you tell me about yourself, like you like golf and you like Disney World and you know I can remember who you are. You know, you're that seventh grade Henry County language arts teacher, you know, that kind of thing. So I do take notes. I'll go in and respond to everybody on that first board, and then I'll come and check out your first discussion here as well. All right, guys, let me know how I can help, and let's make sure that we also help each other out. So if people post things in that peer-to-peer discussion board, you know, give it a shot. See if you can help them out. All right, thanks.